Hello, and welcome to the entrepreneurship model of AI Sana. Today, we will be talking about what entrepreneurship means in the context of technology. My name is Elena Sidych. I am one of the organizers of the educational program, a serial entrepreneur with two exits, an investor in technology with over 10 years of international experience across USA and Southeast Asia markets. The goal of this program is not just to teach theory, but to help you understand how successful international startups are built, startups that can scale globally, compete on the world stage, and create real impact. During this session, we will explore several key questions. How is tech entrepreneurship different from a general mainstream business? How can entrepreneurship become a unique path to fulfillment and impact? What are the real sacrifices and risks behind building startups? And what does it actually mean to build a venture bankable company? Today, we will be exploring entrepreneurship from a very rare perspective. We will learn it from a person who has been on both sides of the table, someone who has built companies, experienced failures and exits, and who is now deciding which founders I get funded. Let me introduce you Gabriel Jarrisson. Gabriel is a computer science engineer and a seven-time founder with three successful exits and four failures, each of which came with hard-earned lessons. One of his companies was bootstrapped to 1 million annual revenue with zero employees, which is already says a lot about his approach to technology and leverage. Today, Gabriel is managing partner at VC Lobster Capital, where he focuses on investing in top Y Combinator startups that aim to change the world. Before he founded Leonis Investment, an angel network that has deployed 36 million since 2020. With two seed stage investments becoming unicorns in under 4 years. Gabriel, thank you very much for agreeing to speak with our students. In my view, there is hardly anyone better positioned to answer today's questions about what entrepreneurship really is, what it demands, and what separates a good business from a truly venture bankable one. So let's get started. And my first question to you, when you hear entrepreneurship, what comes to mind first today, not when you started?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here and to share what I've, learned along the way and really my passion, which is entrepreneurship. When I think of entrepreneurship, that's what I think of, that I think of passion. I believe it is a path for passionate people. I believe it's required. You have probably to be passionate to be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is extremely difficult. Probably the odds are against you when you start, whoever you are. It's probably more likely that you will fail than you will succeed, the first time at least. And so that's why you have to be passionate, because it's difficult. Because if you do, some people are very good and very lucky succeed from the first time, but otherwise you will probably have to do it again and again. And one of the best ways to do that is to be passionate. And I'm sure a lot of people watching are very passionate and excited about entrepreneurship. So that's why I'm very excited to be sharing today.
Thank you. So let's start the main question. How is the tech entrepreneurship fundamentally different from a traditional or main street business? Like from my experience, I had businesses in traditional industries, and at the end, I started 10 years ago a tech company. Even though those businesses, I found it was successful, we got market share, I got exits. It was too easy actually. But when I started tech company, I found out that it's much more difficult. And I don't know if you agree with me, but I really want to hear your opinion about that. How is different?
Yeah, of course. I mean, first of all, a startup is different than a traditional business, and there's no judgment. It's not always better to create a startup. You could create just a traditional business. The difference is the ambition and the growth. So if you want to create a startup, you should want to grow this business exponentially until it reaches a huge size, potentially on the global scale. You can think of Google or Facebook or Airbnb. If you want to create just a regular business that's not a startup, it's not a bad thing. It's not going to grow forever. So maybe you want to create a business and your goal is to reach a certain size, maybe in revenue. You want to make $1 million or 10 million or 100 million, who knows? You want to reach a size of 5 people, 10 people, 50 people that you hire. And then your business doesn't grow anymore. Again, that's not a bad thing. You just have to know what you want and what you're building. And those are very different things. And the main reason why it's so different is for me as an investor, I'm looking for startups who want to grow exponentially. The other difference is usually one of the ways to grow those businesses so quickly, you mentioned, is to build tech companies. You're building something digital, you're building something online, you're using computer science and code to build something, just like the examples I quoted: Airbnb, Google, Facebook. And this means you're competing on the global scale. Everyone on the internet is your competitor. People in Silicon Valley, people in Beijing, everywhere around the world, people are competing with you. You have to be extremely good. You have to be the best or one of the best in order to succeed on a global scale. If you're not as good as Airbnb, people are going to keep using Airbnb. If you're better than Airbnb, people are going to switch and come use your solution. So, very difficult. The rewards, the outcomes are insanely profitable and huge, and that's what investors are interested in. But again, I want to really, we talk a lot about fundraising and startups. I really want to reiterate that building a regular business is not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with that. It's probably easier because you can just compete locally. Maybe you want to become the best printing shop of your city, and then you dominate that city. You don't need to compete on a global scale. You don't need to compete with Silicon Valley and Beijing and everyone else. And of course, for the ones that are crazy enough, in a sense, to try to compete on the global stage, then, of course, this is also very interesting. That comes with a difficulty as well.
Thank you. But when you're going to compete on a global scale, like it means that you need to go to different countries and you don't know how things are, like actually there. And it's like increasing a lot level of uncertainty. And how I want to, like ask how to approach that and how the decision making, like different when uncertainty is extreme. Because in your city, in your country, you know everything. But when you go globally, you cannot do market research. It will cost huge amount, like in usual way, in traditional way. But you still have to go. And how you make decisions in this way?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I mean, being an entrepreneur is always deciding without having all the information. I love this quote that says, an entrepreneur is someone that jumps from a cliff and then, while he or she is falling down, is building the parachute. So first you jump, then you figure out the solution. So you're absolutely right. Going on a global market is uncertain, but actually building a business in your city is also uncertain. You don't know if customers are going to buy. You don't know if the solution is good enough. You don't know if your business is going to survive next year. You always have uncertainty. And so you have to embrace uncertainty. You have to use your judgment and try to guess where the business is going, where the world is going. Of course, sometimes you will be wrong. Airbnb is a travel company and then didn't see COVID happen. And it was a very big problem for that specific company that no one is traveling anymore. They did not see it coming. So the other thing is to become resilient or adaptable. You don't know what the world looks like outside of your country, but you don't even know what tomorrow looks like. And you have to always steer the ship. It's pretty much like you're on a ship in the ocean and you don't know if you're going to have good weather or you're going to have a storm. You don't know if you're going to hit an iceberg and the ship is going to sink. One other thing I want to add is, of course, there are cultural differences in every country in the world. Countries are all different, but there also are some similarities to every single human being. And so if you're making, let's take the example of Google. Google was not the very first search engine, but the results were faster than everyone else and better quality. And whether you're from Kazakhstan, US, Russia, China, whatever, France, I'm from France, whatever, you always want good results that come to you very fast. That's, no matter the culture, there's not a single country that says, I would really like results very slow and very bad results, right? So if you build something that is really good for humans, we all have the same, brain and the same how we function, then, you could have a product that's viral everywhere. Airbnb is a very good example where it allows people, hosts, to make money by sharing your apartment. I think everyone, whatever the country, likes to make money. So if you go to a new country, you're not taking a lot of risks by saying, hey, if you have a spare bedroom, you could be making money from that. So yeah, uncertainty is the norm, but also try to build for all humans. And we do have a lot in common, all of us, on this big planet called Earth. Those are, I would say, are the two stepstones of going global. And of course, build in English day one. Being from Europe, I see this as well, where some European founders, they build in French, in German, in whatever. It's difficult then to translate everything. You can translate the website, but it's the entire culture, the entire organization. If you're building in English day one, then you're a global company. So I would say do the same if you want to be global.
Okay, now we are coming from my next question, but before I want to summarize, in my view, what you just said, the first thing, it's like person should be ready to be, like really resilient, like to anything, be ready, whatever happens. And at the same time, to be ready to jump to that. This is how entrepreneurship looks like. How approach is different when you, from the day one, focus on the scalability on the global market, not just English, but also like we have English, but maybe something else. Because some founders, they are thinking, okay, we will build here first, and after that, we will jump into another market. And I saw a lot of failures actually, because it's still like a lot of differences. But how to handle that, how to focus better on this from the day one.
I want to say, by the way, that, Kazakhstan is a big country. It's not like we're talking about a very small, whatever, name any country that has 1 million people and it's very small market. There is another way, which is I want to become number one in Kazakhstan. And that's already a big market. It's not a global market. It's much smaller, but it's already a market. And so you could have that idea. It's not a bad idea. You will plateau. You will reach a limit that, when you're number one in Kazakhstan, if you want to keep growing, you have to go to other countries, right? But just becoming the number one startup of whatever you're doing in Kazakhstan is already a potential path. And again, you have to say it from day one. You have to say, hey, we're not interested in going global. We don't want to build a company that's worth billions and billions of dollars. We just want to be in our market, and that's enough for us. And again, it really, I think, depends on your aspirations. Are you going to be unhappy if you're limited to only Kazakhstan? It might be big, but not huge. Will you feel bad about that? Or will you be very happy? Say, hey, we win in this market, and that's what we... It could be a failure if you've promised your employees, your co-founders, your investors, if you tell everyone we're going to build a giant company and you don't go outside of the country, you're going to be stuck. So I would say build in English. We've said that. I would say try to solve a problem that is not only a local problem. Thankfully, if you're building a company online, if you're using, computer science and you're building code and a solution, it is very, very likely that you're not only solving for Kazakh people. I don't know, if you're making a tool to record videos like we're doing now, people record videos all around the world, right? So as long as it's in English, anyone could be using it. And then I would say, try to find customers all around the world. And we're very lucky. The world we live in is very interconnected. So if you're, trying to find customers on Facebook, either through advertising, with the Facebook ads and Instagram ads platform, or inside groups. Well, you can go into groups in English, global groups. You could advertise, when you go to the ads, you don't have to only limit to a country. You can say, I want to advertise everywhere in the world. If you're writing content to get SEO from Google, so if you want people to find you by searching online, same thing. If you do content in English, people find you who speak English all around the world. All of those things. When you have a computer, the borders disappear. We're doing this right now, you and me. We're not in the same country, but it doesn't matter. The borders don't exist. So really think of this company like, of course, you might be physically present in Kazakhstan, and that's totally fine. But when you open your computer and you go into the internet is one big country. So again, the biggest mistake, and being from Europe, I've seen it happen so many times. If everything you're doing, talking about building the website, the content is only in 1-2 local languages, you're artificially limiting yourself. The barrier is just the language. English is, of course, one of the fastest languages to grow online. You could take another idea and say, hey, I'm going to do everything in Chinese. There's a lot of people who speak Chinese online. Why not? If that's what you want, that's fine. Or what, I don't know, French is a language growing quickly, Spanish, all of those big languages that are spoken in so many countries just open new markets for you. And obviously, I believe English is the one that almost everyone is speaking, including India, which is 1.4 billion people, including a lot of people in China, not everyone. So it's probably your smartest bet. Borders disappear. That's something that's really the message I want to convey here. Borders disappear. And then when your company starts getting traction on an international level, then there's nothing stopping you from actually traveling the world, go meet investors in Silicon Valley, go meet customers in Europe, and even hire a team outside of, like, anything is possible. It all starts from your computer and internet, which is one of the greatest things we all have, and it's the same internet for everyone.
Like, it's better to find some problem which exists globally and start to promote right away MVP, like, everywhere, as I understood.
Exactly. And the entrepreneurs of the world in English, no one cares if you're not in the US. I mean, the biggest market obviously is the USA, right? Your company doesn't even have to say, hey, we're not in the US, we're in Kazakhstan. If the website is in English and it's good, people are just going to use it. It's have a payment option in USD, in US dollars, so that don't have to think like, oh, what is this currency that I don't know? But if it's USD and you can do it very easily online with Stripe or whatever, it's in English, no one cares. No one even knows. I'm not telling you to lie, but I'm saying no one even knows you're not in the US. And again, it's not only the US, it's the English world online. The US is a big part, but it's not the only part. Yeah.
Thank you for answering this question. Let's go to the next. We described really bright picture of, like, storm, like, where you need to adapt, but why people still choose entrepreneurship despite all those odds? Because it's easier to go, like, get some job, working somewhere in the bank, have comfortable life. And I know a lot of people who has experience, a lot of invitation, a lot of offers, but they still choose entrepreneurship, and you're one of them, actually. Why people choose that?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And I believe there's the right reasons and people who do it for the right reasons. And I believe some people do it for the wrong reasons, and they should not do it. So I will start with the wrong reasons. A lot of people choose entrepreneurship because they want to get rich. They think about money. And looking to have money is great. I'm not going to give any judgment. It's okay. It's actually a good thing that you want to become rich, because it's going to be good for you. It's going to be good for your family, people around you. And when you're richer, you can give back to society. You can invest in other businesses. So, being rich or wanting to become rich is great. That's not, an issue. But entrepreneurship is actually not the easiest way or not the best path for you to become rich. So if the only thing you're interested in is money, and you just want to be an entrepreneur for having a lot of money, it's not the best idea for you. It's not your best shot. Because of what I said, most entrepreneurship endeavors fail. Most entrepreneurs fail, at least at the beginning, and it's going to be very long, very difficult, and it's very uncertain. So if you do want to make money, a lot of money, that's your goal, it's actually much better to go take a job, a regular job, and go work maybe in finance, maybe become a trader, maybe go work inside a young startup that will give you some shares, but you're employee number 20 or employee number 50, but you're not the founders. You just show up for the job, collect the paycheck, and go home. And actually, all of those ideas have a much higher chance of making you rich than entrepreneurship. So that's the wrong reason. Some people do it because of status. I'm an entrepreneur. It's so nice. Look at me. I'm so beautiful. I'm an entrepreneur. Same thing. Because you're very likely going to fail at the beginning, then your image is not going to be great if you say, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, I cannot pay my rent, I'm eating just a small plate of pasta every day because I cannot afford anything else, and I cannot pay the school for my kids. It's not the great status symbol. So if you want to have status, you should not be an entrepreneur. And I see a lot of people saying that. Some people say, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur just to fundraise. And then they raise some money from investors and they think it's the end of, like, they won. That's it. I fundraised. We can talk about this some more, but fundraising is only the beginning. Then people are counting on you to grow the company and to return the money. So all of those are the wrong reasons. Now, some people still do it because they're passionate. And I think that's the right reason. Like I briefly mentioned, it is so difficult to be an entrepreneur. You're going to hear no most of the times, more no's than yeses. And you're going to have so many problems and so many fires to put out. It's being an entrepreneur is every day you show up and every day there's a new problem that you did not expect. And sometimes it's a big problem that you think your entire company is going to die. Like when I started entrepreneurship, I still had hair. And now, problems and trouble, they're all gone. So the only way to keep going, to show up and to just do it again and again and again is if you're very passionate. And I always say, you need to have a fire inside of you that's burning. You really want to be an entrepreneur. If you don't want that, if you don't have that fire, you're going to quit. Because when one company fails and then you start again and the second company fails, you're going to say to yourself, I'm not meant for this. It's too difficult. I'm just going to go back and get a job. And the only people who are crazy enough to keep going are people who say, I don't care. I will do this my entire life. I'm so happy and passionate about this. I will never even consider taking a job because that's not who I am. So I believe anyone can be an entrepreneur. Anyone has the potential. It's not reserved to people who have studied, people who have money, people who, sons and daughters of already entrepreneurs. No, anyone could be an entrepreneur, but only if you have this deep inside that it's almost like a calling. It's almost like religious or spiritual. You have to do this. You don't even have a choice. Because it's going to get hard. It will get tough. It will get difficult. Trust me. It always is. So I believe that's the right reason to do it, and probably one of almost the only reason to do it. Otherwise, you're very likely to do it for the wrong reasons.
Why did you start your first company and didn't stop the second company? Why your personal motivation was to?
Yeah, for me, it's exactly this. When I was sharing this fire and this idea of not even considering to stop, that's exactly me. I started my first company at 13 years old when I learned how to program on a computer. And I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. There's a video of me when I was a kid, when I was around 13. And the video says, what do you want to do? I said, I want to be an entrepreneur. So for me, it's never been, a possibility to quit. And thank God, because it was so difficult. So many times I got crushed because I had so many high hopes. I was so happy with my business and it just didn't work. And by the way, when I was younger, my personal ego was linked with my company and what I was doing. My entire definition of myself was I'm an entrepreneur. And so I'm building this company to be successful. And so when the company failed, I thought I was a failure. It was very, very tough for me. I thought I'm too dumb. I'm not good enough. I'm a failure as a person because this company that's linked to me and my personality failed. It took me a long time to deconstruct and say, hey, you're a human being. You're not only an entrepreneur and a CEO, you're a son, you're a brother today, and at the time, no, today you're a husband and a father, and you have things outside of work. Obviously, work is a huge, huge, huge part of my life, and I'm very passionate about it, but it's not the only thing. It's not, I'm not defined by my work, and my work does not define me. And so if the company succeeds, it's great, but it doesn't mean I'm the boss. It's because of me. I'm so smart. There's always luck. There's always timing. And if the company fails, it doesn't mean, oh my God, I'm so stupid. I'm such a failure. It means, hey, this time I couldn't do it. Maybe next time. So it was very difficult for me to fail. I maybe at that point I wished I could do something else and be like, okay, I'm going to stop suffering and take a job. For me, it was never an option. I was so passionate. I've always been so excited about entrepreneurship. The idea of working not on my business and something that I created, but working for someone else's business, for me was unbearable. And it's very personal. I'm not judging anyone who works for someone else. Thank God, some people are working for, if everyone in the world is an entrepreneur, the world doesn't work. But for me, it was not an option. So that's really my motivation. And that's also the motivation for me to become an investor, a VC today, which is I can talk to so many founders. I can be involved in so many different businesses. So many different businesses that it's so fascinating for me to see all of these entrepreneurs building great things, trying to help them, etc.
Understood from you and from other entrepreneurs, you just do that because you just can't not doing that. You have passion, you want to change something, and you start and you get involved in that process, so you cannot stop. But at the same time, it's a lot of difficult times you're going through. Sometimes I remember it was one of the companies, eventually it was very successful, but at one point I owned more than $1 million minus, and I was actually jealous to normal people who just maybe earning zero, but they don't owe anything. And I just needed to overcome that. It was successful and I earned a lot, but still, at that point, and you also you said that had difficult time when you, for example, have failed. It's like I can imagine this is what you feel. I mean, it's not even depression. It's just something. I mean, like you're just dying, but eventually you still after that, going because of that passion, it gives you some energy, but now I want to switch a little bit to the something good. We, I think, threatened enough, but we needed to warn people who have some romantic views about entrepreneurship. And now I want to switch to good things. When you're doing that, how it fulfill you, how it make you happy. What's the other side of the entrepreneurship?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We should talk about the positive as well. And probably entrepreneurship is, I would say, an amplifier. And so we talked about the lows being very low, but the highs are very high as well. And it is, incredibly, incredibly fulfilling to see what you're building succeed, to see it get even bigger than you as a person. At the beginning, it's always you. It's a small workshop, it's just you and you do everything and everything goes through you. But then the company grows, you hire some people and it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger than you. And this feeling is pretty crazy. It's almost like, not really, but maybe almost like having a child. At the beginning, the child is very small. And if you don't do anything, the child cannot eat, you have to be, but then the child grows and becomes independent and you're so proud. And so this business grows and becomes independent and you see results, customers being happy with whatever, your product, what you're selling. It's sometimes changing their lives or at least having a positive impact. And so it feels just amazing, especially if you're passionate. And, I become used to it because I've been building companies for, 20 years. But when you think about it, it's pretty crazy. It's something that was born inside your brain and it did not exist. It was just here. And one day you're thinking, hey, maybe I could do this. And today it's a company, it has a logo, it has employees, it has a website, it's making money, and it's your job. And some days you're there. I mean, it's for me extremely rare that I have nothing to do because I'm lucky to have a very busy life. But sometimes you're done with a big task and you're saying, okay, well, there is no big priority right now, so maybe for the next hour, then I will have another call, a recording. But right now, there's nothing really urgent, and you can just step back and you can just think about the business and be like, oh, okay, well, I'm at work right now, but I can be doing whatever I want. And you can go for a walk, take a break. Usually, because you're passionate, you're staying working on your business, but you don't have anything specific. No one ordered you. No one gave you a task. There's no boss. Hey, do this. You're thinking, okay, well, this is the business. How can I improve it? Do I have new ideas? And you can shift the business. This year in 2025, I ending the year in a very different position than the beginning of the year in my business. I made some big changes. And again, you just think them and then they happen. So, it's really cool. If you're lucky to have a business that's having a positive impact, and your customers will tell you, and that's, again, very, very meaningful to you. I'm lucky to be an investor in some businesses that are literally saving lives. That's just absolutely amazing as a feeling. Yeah, you it's a very different vision. It's a very different thing to work on your own business than to work for someone else. You have this sense of ownership, you have this sense of fulfillment. It's great. Again, it's probably not for everyone because it comes with the difficulties. We've talked about them. But if it is for you, it just feels probably there's nothing like it in the world.
Yeah, and we're coming to my next question. Actually, you already said the keyword impact. And actually, the question is like, where this passion, like come from? And I mean, maybe you agree or don't agree with me. My suggestion is that it's coming from, like impact that you can give to the world. When you feel that you can do that, it's like you're becoming passionate about that. That's why I want to ask you, like how can founders create impact beyond financial success? Because it's not just one reason. It could be also like financial success is one of the reasons why people go. But you said in the first question that it should be something different and it should be some maybe impact on the world, and how founders can create it. Maybe you also provide some examples.
Financial success is, again, I think a worthy pursuit, and it's good. I've met a lot of people, in San Francisco. I know a lot of people who've made a lot of money. I personally know several billionaires, at least 3 or 4 that I know well. They're just regular people, just like you and me, just with more money. Money only solves money problems. So I love this quote. I always say it is, if you're rich, but your wife hates you, your wife still hates you. Money doesn't change it. Or if you're rich, but you never see your kids, you never see your kids. Money doesn't change that. So, money problems are not great when you don't know how to pay your rent. Like that doesn't feel good. So money solves that. But money is not the answer to everything in life. But I want to be careful with the word impact because it's not, I mean, again, having an impact is great. But when people hear impact, usually they only think of, hey, how can we have a positive impact on the environment and on the planet? And again, those are amazing missions. The planet has a lot of problems and we should absolutely all work to solve them, including climate, but also just, poverty and hunger. But it's okay to build a business that is not going to save the world. If you just want to build a great technology company that is, helping people achieve something very specific, again, if you want to build a video conferencing software so we can record this, you're not solving hunger or climate change. But this is great because thanks to this tool, we can record and now you can watch me and listen to me. So it's still having a positive impact. It's not how people use the word impact. Like it's not, saving the trees, but it's still very good. So that's why I want to be careful with this word. I believe, wanting to make money is totally okay. Wanting to save the planet or end hunger or poverty is amazing, and if you want to do that, that's great. You should absolutely do it, but you should not feel bad if your idea is just a technologic component, right? Elon Musk is just making cars and rockets, but it's still great. It's still helping humanity move forward. So that would be the very broad definition of impact that I would give. Say, hey, if you want to just make something and make something better. Obviously, if you say, hey, I want to make electric cars, but I want to make very bad electric cars, that's not a good impact. If you say, I want to make better electric cars for everyone, or I want to make them cheaper or faster, or maybe carbon neutral and they don't, pollute the planet, whatever it is, you want to just, that's the story of mankind. We used to be monkeys in the savannah with a torch of, just a little bit of fire, and that's it. And then one guy say, hey, what if we build a house? And now today we all have a house, or almost all of us have a house. And say, hey, we could ride horses and carriages, and then now today it's cars, and we have heating at home. So we just always want to make our life better. So yeah, if you want to make a better solution to something existing, or if you want to make something new, that's already very impactful. You're just making humanity move forward. That's amazing. And of course, you can save the planet or save the poor and hungry people as well. It's great also. Everyone has its unique drive. It doesn't, but again, when we say impact, I don't want some people to feel bad and say, oh, I just want to build some online tool. I don't want to solve hunger, so I'm not a real impact entrepreneur. That's impact enough as well.
Yeah, this is actually was my question about that, just like to open that impact. It's not just something saving the world, but if you're doing some life is better, it's already you're doing impact. Maybe sometimes you don't see that right away, but at the end you can see. And for example, this tool, what we're using right now, video conferences, eventually it gives like opportunity to a lot of students here in Kazakhstan listen from you, like Silicon Valley investor who can provide a lot of knowledge. Before we needed, like to bring you here, like we couldn't gather 100,000 students in one place, for example. But now it will be accessible for everyone, and it's huge impact in terms of, like knowledge. And many products, they provide this impact. Most of them actually provide this impact. So, and this is what I wanted to highlight here in this question. What actually, like you said, not just saving some animals.
We can say for so many examples. People make a microphone and they're just thinking. But again, like with this microphone, I can talk to you. Or think of ChatGPT. It's allowing so many people to do so many more stuff almost for free. There's a free version. Even the paid version is extremely cheap, and the capabilities. So all of those tools, even a computer, even the internet, all of those things just empower you to do great things.
I hope that our students who want to build some startups will be able to find what impact will be behind that. Next question is about entrepreneurship. What do you think? Entrepreneurship is more about freedom or responsibility?
Oh, wow. It's both, for sure. When you're probably a young, like maybe many of you are young, aspiring entrepreneur, you're thinking of freedom. Hey, I don't have to find a job. I don't have a boss. Oh my God, it's great. So it is freedom for sure. It is also responsibility on many levels. One, when you're running your own business, you cannot really stop working. If you stop working, there's no more money, then you don't have a salary. So it all depends on you, right? Mm-hmm. You're, the first day of the month, January 1st, February 1st, March 1st. If in 30 days or 31 days, you haven't made any money in the company, then you don't get any money, right? It's not magically appearing from the sky. If you're working at a regular business, even if you don't work too much and you're being very slow, at the end of the month, they will pay you your salary. And of course, if you never do the work, at some point they will fire you, but the company keeps existing. So it's a responsibility in this way. And also, when the company grows, you have employees, then you have to pay their salary. People come and work for you, they trust you, they have families to feed, they have wives, husbands, kids. If you don't pay them, that's a big problem. So you have this responsibility as well. And of course, when you're, 18 years old and you're getting started, you're not thinking of having employees. But if the company does well, what I wish for you all, then you will have employees. It's a good sign. You cannot build a big company alone. So for sure, it's responsibilities. Of course, if you're building something critical, your customers are using your tool in production and they need it for their company, that your service needs to be reliable, uptime. If it's an extreme example, but if you're building planes, you want to make sure they're flying okay and they're not crashing. So there's responsibility. But even if you're building a software, like imagine, we keep coming back to the same example right now in the middle of this recording, it just stops working, it crashes. Well, it's a problem for us customers of this. So all of those are responsibilities. There's freedom as well. And again, I don't want to only talk about the negative, I want to talk about the positive. I've said, like, sometimes you have 1 free hour between two meetings and you just do whatever you want. When you're an entrepreneur, we all have some days where you wake up and you don't feel very good. You're not sick, just, I don't know, today is not a great day. If you don't want to work, you don't have to work. You're the boss. So if you want to say, hey, today I'm just going to watch a movie, watch a YouTube video instead of working, you're allowed. But you should not probably do this very often, otherwise the business is going to suffer. But that's okay. And I have bad days. We all have bad days. So this is freedom. You can go on vacation without asking for permission. You can just say, hey, I'm just going to go. You can allocate the money of the business. So when you're an entrepreneur, the business has a bank account. It's not the same as your money, right? It's separate. So you cannot just use the money for yourself, but you can use the money inside the business however you want. If you say, I want to buy ads, I want to buy a new computer, I want to buy a bigger office, you decide. Freedom. So it really is a mix of both.
Yeah, I like how you highlighted that responsibility about like the salaries, workers, and at the same time, yeah, I really agree with you. At the same time, it's freedom when you really want to do something and want freedom. Don't need to. You need to remember that you have responsibility on the other. You was sick today or like this week, so next week you will be like work double. So you have to reach your goals. And so let's go to the next section and next question. It's about risks. What are the real sacrifices behind entrepreneurship? And here I wanted to criticize the question. What does it mean working hard in Silicon Valley? Because it's different definition what's working hard in different countries. But I noticed traveling and living in different countries, it's like in some way our climate is good, like it's like one level of speed. When, for example, the technology process is different, different dynamic. And when I came to Silicon Valley, I was in shock. I mean, like first week, I was kind of like trying to get used to that. I just like, for me, it was super speed. I just didn't understand what's going on, But people were living in that dynamic and they were doing fine. And what I also was noticing that people really kind of focused on the efficiency, how to increase your efficiency, what you need to do to increase your focus. For example, like fasting, health. Even I saw like announcement of the webinar, what drugs you can use legally to increase your efficiency, sleep less. Really means working hard for a startupper in Silicon Valley. Can you describe that?
Yeah, of course. People in Silicon Valley work very, very hard. I have to say, Silicon Valley is an amazing place because it's attracting talent from all around the world. Most people are not from here. They're either from other places in the US, but mostly from other places in the world. So, even from Kazakhstan, from all around the world. And so there's a lot of competition and things go very, very fast. And so people work like crazy. The new trend right now in San Francisco is what we call 996. So
Mhm.
996 is 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week, Monday to Saturday. And then you rest on Sunday. Actually, I know some founders who also work on Saturday. And I also know a lot of founders who work way after 9 p.m. Um, so, this is what you're against. This is the competition. Now, I have to say two things. One, this is not everyone, it's some people. That's one thing. Also, second thing, entrepreneurship is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And so you will have to work for months and years, and sometimes decades to really succeed. Even the biggest companies don't happen in 2 weeks. They happen in years, even the giants. So it's great to work hard if you can sustain it. If you're personally able to sustain it, that's fine. Some people, they're just happy like this. They know how to sleep well and recharge and just keep working like crazy. That's fine. But there's also some people, and this is much less talked about, that, crash and burn, and they do a burnout. They work like crazy for 5, 6 months, and then that's it. They don't eat well, they don't sleep well, they don't exercise, and their body's just like, just gives up. So, there's also some people who are more, I don't know, mindful of their body and the workload. And I personally work a lot, but I personally believe that it's also about how smart you work rather than how much you work. You can do a lot of stuff in some reasonable hours, and reasonable is also different in many places. Maybe let's say 8 to 7 or 8 to 6, 5 days a week. That's already like heavy, but you can pause on the weekends and at night, etc. But if you work smart, you can do a lot of things. So it's a mix of people who work like crazy, but we're always wondering, are they going to sustain it? And of course, the one who are able to sustain it for years and years and years, and who just have this power inside them, are the ones who usually have a great advantage over the others. And so it also again helps to be passionate. Remember, I was talking about passion.
Mhm.
There's this quote that says, hey, find some work that's fun for you. And if it's fun for you, you don't feel like you're working. That's the case for me. I spend most of my time working, or not most, but let's say I spend a very good amount of time working, but it's like fun for me. I love it so much. So you can outwork everyone else. If it's not work to you, that's one thing.
Mhm.
The second thing is, you mentioned it, take care of your body, right? Your body is your temple. If your body has to carry you. If your brain doesn't work properly, if your body is not in good shape, you're not going to be able to um, to work correctly. So I believe now there's a lot of research, and what everyone agrees to, it's pretty obvious. We all know what we need. There's four big pillars for the body. It's fitness, or sport, working out, activity, sleeping well, enough, on time, etc. Nutrition, what you eat, and then reducing stress and being mindful. So mindfulness, meditation, maybe yoga, stuff like that. So if you have those four pillars, you know, stress and meditation, nutrition, sports, and sleep, then your body is going to be in good shape. And you should, of course, prioritize this. Otherwise, everything else gets impacted. Yeah. So, those are the things. And then if you're single, young, and you have no one, that's it. If you have a family, you should probably, allocate some time for your family as well.
Interesting. Do you know somebody like personally who, for example, didn't work too hard but still get some success in startup?
Not really. Yeah, I think. I mean, actually, the answer is more specific than that.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone that I know that succeeded worked very hard at some point.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean they're still working very hard now. Usually, yes, but for
Mm-hmm.
sure they worked very hard at some point. I believe if you never work hard, you never make it. And there's something else. You mentioned speed, and
Yeah.
Silicon Valley goes so fast, and that's very true. something about entrepreneurship is it's a lot about iteration. You
Mm-hmm.
can think of, the very first programs that the very first artificial intelligences at the very beginning when they were very dumb, who try to solve a little game. For example, think of a labyrinth. You have to go from point A to point B, and you have to find the exit. And how do you
Mm-hmm.
do it? As a human or as a program? You just try, doesn't work, go back, try again, go back, try
Mm-hmm.
again, go back. And I believe entrepreneurship is very much like this.
Mm-hmm.
You build something, try, doesn't work,
Mm-hmm.
talk to the customers. They like it, they don't like it. Okay, build something else. Try again. And then you try marketing, campaigns, advertising, sales, works, doesn't. You try to sell differently. So you're trying a lot of things. But the pace of your experiments matter a lot. If you're making one experiment per month, at the end of the year, you have 12 experiments. But if you're making one experiment per day, then at the end of the year, you have 250, 300, whatever, if you don't count the weekends, experiments. So you have many, many more. You have more learnings. You can go faster. And so Silicon Valley really understands that. Probably the best in the world of understanding how fast you move, you turn around, and you experiment. That's how fast you're going to grow. And so this is really helping you succeed, is if you're just testing, iterating constantly, and that means trying new things, and so it means going fast and working a lot.
I wanted to, ask about one specific question about that iterations. So here, I saw in many countries that founders, they actually want to build something, like ideal. And I was hearing from my employees also, we are not ready yet to the market. If you don't embarrass, with your product, you're already late. You just go. But these iterations means that you have to go and show to client, actually try to sell. Like each iteration, you need to go to client, show it, get feedback. Next iteration, show, get feedback, try to sell it. And this is I want you now maybe a little bit more highlight of that iterations in terms of selling and cost dev, if you can go a little bit deeper.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you said it perfectly. So many people, especially developers, when you're building a tech product, they want it to be perfect. They say, it's not ready. It's not ready. I got to build it more, more, more. It will be ready next year. It will be ready, next month. Exactly like you said, it's a quote from Reid Hoffman, founder of LinkedIn. If you're not embarrassed, you're launching too late. That's exactly what I said. You should launch, especially now with AI, you can build so quickly. You should
Yeah.
launch in less than a month, whatever you're building. And it's a mock-up. It's not perfect. It has a lot of problems, but you just put it in the hands of customers. And that's Y Combinator, where I invest. That's what they say, is make something people want. And they tell you you only have to do two things as a founder. You make it, you build it, and then you put it in the hands of the founder. You put it in the hands of the users. They will give you feedback. They don't like it because it's the first one. Then you go back, build it again, put it in the hands of the users, go back, etc. And you keep improving like this. And so many people, they just stay in their cave and they
Mhm.
never show it. And so you cannot really progress. I did this, my very, very first companies. I spent, I think, almost a year building my website without showing it to my customers. And when I did, they told me I was wrong. No, that's not, we don't want. So this entire time was wasted. I wasted a year of my life. Poof. I would never get that time back. So that's a big, big, very common problem. You have to put it in the hands of the customer. So, and then you have to sell. At the end of the day, there's this myth in entrepreneurship, which is called build it and they will come. So a
Yeah.
lot of people believe, and I was believing myself, you create a perfect website, you work for so long, and then you put it online and ta-da, magic, everyone comes. And that's not true. Again, it happened to me. I remember very specifically. You work like crazy. You finally put it online, and then nothing happens because
Nobody.
nobody cares. No one was waiting for you. No one is saying, oh my God, I cannot wait for Gabriel to publish his website. Everyone is waiting. That's not true. That's not how it works. So you put it online, nobody cares, nothing happens. So I really try to push all of my founders that I invest into. And usually when I invest, they already figured out a lot of stuff here. But I really try to push them on customer acquisition. The question I ask them, and the question I'm asking you, if you're watching this, if you're thinking of building a business, building it is actually the easy part. The hard part is, how do you get people to come and use it? So the big question is, how do you get customers to sign up and pay when you're sleeping? So you go to bed, you wake up in the morning, you check your bank account, and there's a new customer. You don't know him, her, you haven't talked. They just found you and they paid. And that's the dream. If you think of Google or Airbnb, Brian Chesky, the founder of Airbnb, is not here talking with every customer to make a reservation or booking. It just happens during his sleep. That's crazy. So how do you do that? I will give you a few ideas, but there's an infinite number of ideas. You can invent your own solution here, but you could create content on social media. That's a thing a lot of people think about. If your videos go viral, people watch your content, then they will come and sign up for your product. You can do this on Google. If people type in, a search query, how to book a place in Paris, you find Airbnb. Okay. It could be services or partners referring you. If you go to a travel agency, they can say, hey, here's a solution. It could be a lot of things. You have to figure it out. But you always have to think, how can I make money during my sleep? And it's not this grand scheme of, oh my God, I'm a get rich quick, whatever. No, it's just your business needs to attract customers. So again, a lot of people think entrepreneurship is about building something. They're wrong. I mean, you have to, it's a prerequisite. You have to build something. But entrepreneurship is about selling that something. Again, if you think of Amazon.com, or let's say YouTube. Everyone knows YouTube. It's very easy to build the website. You can build YouTube. Anyone who's a developer, or if you hire a team of developers, you can build it in 1 week. That doesn't make you YouTube. You're not going to kill YouTube just because you've built it. It's everything around it. How do you get people to come in and upload videos and then watch videos on YouTube? Same thing for Instagram or X or Uber, whatever. Those things are very easy in terms of technology. It's about having the users and the customer. Every company that succeeds is a company that has customers. So sales, often overlooked. That's a big mistake. You have to think of sales. It doesn't have to be, when we say sales, some people are like, no, I hate sales. You don't have to be selling on the phone. Sometimes that's a good way if it's a type of business, and you should probably do it. If you don't want to do it, you can maybe hire someone else to do it. If you're starting, it's better if the founder does it. I'm sorry. But sometimes sales is not on the phone. It's just making sure people know you exist, and find your product. So very, very important, often overlooked. Don't make that mistake.
So sales is the main king in the room when you're doing entrepreneurship and tech startup. So, and we are coming to our last section. Like, okay, you created startup, you have technology, you already have customers, but not to every startup VC ready to invest. But in order to scale, to grow, you need VC company, not one, even some few at least. And what things or qualities make startup fit to venture capital? And why aren't all good businesses suitable for venture capital?
Yeah, that's a very, very big question. And the answer could be an extremely long answer as well. I think it goes back to some of what we said earlier of the ambition and the size and the types of business. Do you want to build a tech giant, or are you building a small regional company? And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but that's probably not something a VC or a venture capitalist wants to invest into. It's about the speed at which you're growing. If you're growing fast, VCs are interested. If you're growing slowly, VCs are not interested. Usually the quality of the team is something VCs really take a close look. Who are you? What have you done in the past? And why are you the right person to succeed here? I would say, I would say also something that the best companies, the easiest way to raise money from a VC is to not need it. I know it's a paradox, but I often say it's pretty similar to dating. If you show up to a date And on the first date, you say, please marry me. If you don't marry me, my life will end. I really need to get married right now. No one will be interested. It was like, oh my God, you're so weird. But if you come to the date and you say, hey, my life is great and my life is going to continue being great with you or without you. If you want, you can come along for the ride. That person is probably very interested. Wow, this person is just great, independent. And so I believe VC is very similar. If you say, hey, our startup is growing very fast and we don't need the money from the VC. If you want, you can give us the money and come along for the ride. But if you don't give us the money, we're just going to keep growing. That's the thing that makes the VC the most excited to invest. And so a lot of, again, I think it's a fallacy in entrepreneurship. A lot of people think we need the VC money, otherwise we cannot make it happen. My best advice is you have to be in a position where you can grow the company and you can make it happen even without a VC. And if you do that, then probably then you will have a VC come in for the reasons that I just said. The best, fundraising is glorified. Everyone thinks fundraising is the end game. The end game is not fundraising, is to make money from customers, to make real money. I always say money from customers is better than money from VC. Let me give you an example. If you want to raise $1 million, you want a VC to give you $1 million. In exchange, you will give maybe 20% of your company. So you only have 80% left. Now, if you're finding some ways to just sell a product to your customers and you're going to make $1 million, at the end of the day, you have the same thing in your bank account, $1 million. But if it comes from your customers, you also keep 100% of your company. So it's much, much, much better. And, I'm not saying you should not raise money. I'm glad companies raise money. Otherwise, I would not have a job. But you should never need the raise so badly that you don't do anything else. Same thing, like if you say to your partner, I need you so much, otherwise my life will end, it's not a great position. You should be say, hey, I would love to spend my life with you, but I don't need you at the beginning. When you get married, you have to say, I need you to your spouse, but that's different, right? So anyway, there's some limits to my comparison, but so yeah, this for me is the best advice is, and if you do happen to actually have $1 million and grow, and it happens that you don't need a VC for real, maybe you don't need a VC. That's okay. That happens sometimes. What you'll find is even if you do that and you have a lot of VCs interested, probably you still do want to take a VC to keep growing even faster. But what I want to say, yeah, this is the easiest way to get a VC, so you don't need one. I know it's counterintuitive. And yeah, then if you're building, ambitious, big company, global, and you already have proof that it's working, revenue, customers, users, all of those are great signs and great ways to get investors on board.
Thank you for insightful introduction to VC. We will talk about that much more. How to, of course, raise money, how VC think. But now it's just like first touch. And I think it was really, really good speech from Gabriel because he really touches really basic things that you should understand. And now, very last question, kind of like summarizing. If you give one piece of advice to students entering tech entrepreneurship in AI, what would it be? Maybe like short advice.
The best trait in founders, I think, is to be relentlessly resourceful. So relentlessly, never quit, always persevere, and resourceful. Find solutions, just figure out stuff. So, you don't know how to build, figure out how to build. You don't know how to sell, figure out how to sell, and be relentless. Always figure out new things. I think we talked before recording of, asking the right questions. That's how you figure out things, is just, being curious, being always learning, always iterating, always trying new things. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good way to get started.
Yeah, this is exactly what this program is training with Paul Kim, who is after all the developing this mindset of like keep asking questions. Eventually you will find the way. And Gabriel is confirming that, and you will have this knowledge who will accomplish this program for sure. And I want to say thank you very much, Gabriel, and say everybody that Gabriel also has a really good podcast on YouTube, And if you want to learn more, you can go find it easy on the YouTube, just Lobster or like Gabriel.
Lobster Capital, yeah. Lobster Capital is the channel. You can also find me on X, for those of you who are there, and feel free to say hi.
So, and we will also put it in additional materials in our program. So you can learn a lot of great things. I just watched today part one of why is about Y Combinator story. It was really, really interesting even for me, even though I know a lot about that, but it was really good content. So thank you very much, and we'll meet Gabriel later for one more session at least. And thank you very much. Goodbye, everybody, for today.
Thank you.